Hi, my name is Tiana Sirmans. Today I'm here with Congresswoman Lisa Blunt Rochester, who I first met when she was actually running for Congresswoman. So, hi, how are you today?
I'm wonderful, Tiana, and it's great to see you again. And like every time I see you, I get more inspired and more excited. So good to see you. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. So, like I was saying, I first met you when you were running for Congresswoman at the Delaware debates at the University of Delaware.
Yes.
And actually, I'm very excited to be here today talking to you too. I have been waiting for this.
Me too, me too. And when I saw you recently at the press conference with Stephen A. Smith, you were the one person who had a business card. So I said, this woman is serious.
Yes, and actually I wanted to thank you for recognizing me with that recognizing speech, and I hope that I'm doing the same for you today.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
You're welcome. So I'm going to start. What does a congresswoman do for anyone who is wondering what they do?
That's a great question because a lot of people don't know what your congresswoman does. Many people know we have a mayor and they know we have a governor, but they don't realize that your congresswoman is the person who goes to Washington, D.C. and works on your behalf. I represent the citizens of our state, and I work on laws. That's part of our job, is to create the laws that we have so that people know what the rules are for our country. And then another thing that we work on is we help people who might have problems with federal agencies. So we have the IRS, which is the Internal Revenue Service, if they have problems with their taxes, or Social Security Administration, or maybe the person is a veteran. People call our office and they say we need help, and it's our job to try to help them. So we help with legislation, we help with constituent problems or issues, like if it's a person who works is one of our constituents. And then also part of my job is really to get the word out about who we are as a state and as a country, and just advocate for Delaware.
Okay. Yeah. And what was the first thing you did when you became Congresswoman?
Oh, wow. So as you'll recall, it was a really, really important race for the position of Delaware's Congresswoman, because Delaware had never elected a woman to Congress before, and we had never elected a person of color to Congress. So we made double history. And I would say the first thing I did was come from a place of gratitude. I just thanked people for helping make history. I mean, no one person does it alone. And so it was really important to me to spend time just saying thank you. Thank you to the voters. Thank you to people like yourself who was out there like being a champion to and have people participate in the process, and to thank all the people that helped make it possible, including my parents and my children. So probably the first thing I did was be grateful and say thank you. Then that was after I got elected. Once I was sworn in on the House floor, that was another big moment for me. And you know, one of our priorities, we had different things that we wanted to do. And one of the things is you have to get on committees. So I was able to get on two very important committees for Delaware. One was education and workforce, because it's really important that young people like you, all the way to seniors, have access to good quality education. And then the other was the fact that jobs are very important to us. And then the second committee that I got on was the agriculture committee. And many people know farming is really important to Delaware.
Yeah.
It's big, right? I mean, like, do you know how many more chickens we have than people in our state? We have 211 chickens for every person. That's a lot of chickens.
That is.
So chickens are important, soybean is important. We have all these different crops, but we also have a lot of companies as well that do things in agriculture. So that was really important. That was the first thing, is also to get on the committees that I could help Delaware. And then we passed legislation that fit into those committees. So it's been an incredible journey already, and it's only been 2.5 years.
Wow.
Yeah, I've been in the job 2.5 years.
Okay. Well, there's certain people that don't know what they're going to be when they grew up. So what did you think you were going to be when you grew up?
Wow, that's a great question. When I was little, there were a lot of things that I liked to do. So, for example, in my neighborhood, I started a little newspaper.
Yeah.
In my neighborhood and in my house, I had like a doll hospital where I would like be a doctor and help fix broken dolls. At one point when I was a kid, I got a chemistry set and I really liked chemistry, and I thought maybe when I grow up I can be a biochemist and discover the cure for cancer or sickle cell anemia. And one of the things that I notice now when I look back is that while I had all these different things that I like to do, like even as a writer, I like to write.
Same.
Yeah, so but I realized there was a connection to all of those things, and they were about helping people.
Yeah.
And so I didn't know I was going to be a congresswoman, but I knew I was going to do something that helped people and that allowed people to be able to have a voice, because as a kid especially, I felt like we're not taken seriously. We don't get the respect that we deserve.
Yeah.
So I never wanted to forget what it was like to be a young person. So even to this day, if I'm doing I'm giving a speech at a high school, I'll share a poem that I wrote when I was a teenager because I never wanted to forget what it felt like to be a young person. So I say for anybody who's not sure what they want to do, the best thing is to try a lot of things, but also think about, what do I love to do?
Yes.
Like what you love to do, I think that's what you were born to do.
Yes.
Even if it's not your job. You might not be getting paid for this, but it's what you love to do.
Yes.
And ultimately it can lead to you being able to have that as your career. So I always say, think about, what are you good at? What do you love to do? Yeah.
That is very good.
Is that good? Good advice?
Yes, very good advice. I could even use that.
Oh, good.
So during your life and career, I'm sure that you have got lots of advice.
Yes.
What has been the best piece of advice that you've received, and who gave it to you?
Wow, that's a great question too, because I think when I think about it, I've gotten advice from a lot of different people. I had some really great, strong grandmothers, and they were just strong women. And I think one of the things that they encouraged me to do was to just love yourself. They showed real love for me. And even when I look back and think about what advice I would give myself, it is that a lot of times you might make a mistake or you might be afraid to do something, but keep trying. And I think the thing that helps us to keep trying is who we surround ourselves with. Surround yourself with positive people and people who will uplift you even when you feel down. That's another good piece of advice. I think, another great piece of advice is that, sometimes we get scared to do things. And my grandmothers and my mom and my dad and so many other heroes and sheroes out here, they gave me encouragement. And sometimes you just need that encouragement. And then sometimes you've got to find that encouragement in yourself.
Yeah.
You might have to someday look in the mirror and say, it's okay, you got this.
Yeah.
Keep going, And even when I ran for office, that's the kind of thing that I would do, is just say, you can do it. And I'm a person of faith. And so for me, my grandmother, one of my grandmothers in particular, she would go to church every Sunday. Grandma Blunt, she would listen to gospel music all the time. So even when I get up in the morning, I take her example and listen to gospel music. Grandma Jackson, she was always in the community helping people. And so she was a great example to me. And the same with my father and my sisters and even my kids. They give me advice. I've had my daughter say, be yourself, Mom, just be yourself. And when she was little, I would always say to her, I would say, I'm proud of you. Are you proud of you? So when I was elected to Congress, I'll never forget, my daughter said to me, Mom, I'm proud of you. Are you proud of you? Look, it makes me almost want to cry because it was that special. And so I think you can get good advice all over the place. You just have to be open to it and you have to listen. Just listen. Yeah, that's it.
Okay. Well, what advice do you have for kids who would like to grow up and be into politics or make a change to the world?
Oh, well, first of all, try to love the world, try to understand the world, whether it's reading or whether it's meeting different people from different backgrounds. I think that all of those things go into helping you to be that well-rounded person to run for office or to be an elected official. Even something as simple as sometimes you can't travel to another country to learn about that country, but maybe you can go to a restaurant in your city, or maybe you can meet somebody from a different culture and eat at their home. One of the things that is important is to just get as much knowledge as you can. That's number one. Number two, I think I would encourage people to volunteer and to get different experiences. Helping other people not only helps them, but it helps you to grow. It helps you to have a sense of purpose and fulfillment. So I think anybody who wants to be in public service, they should be a person who wants to serve others, help other people. And I guess maybe the last thing, I kind of circle all the way back to doing it even when you're afraid. Running for Congress, I had never run for anything before in my life. And so for some people, they could say that's a scary thing. At times it was, but you just got to keep going, and you just got to keep getting better and better and better, because ultimately, if your goal is to make the world a better place, you got to be involved in it. You got to step up and you got to play your part.
That actually is some very good advice.
Good. Thank you. Thank you.
Well, what lessons have your work life taught you?
Wow, that's a biggie. So work life has taught me a lot. First of all, just the ability for people to go to work and to be able to live a dream like this. This is a dream for me to be in Congress, has taught me that all things are possible. Work life has taught me how to work with people that sometimes aren't like me or have different views than I do, and how do you get along sometimes with people that you don't get along with. Work life has taught me that. You also have to try to, like some people, they talk about work-life balance, because you might be like a working mom. But I heard somebody say recently that it's less about balance and more about being very present with what you're doing at that moment. So maybe I work during the day, and when I'm working, I focus on that work. But when I'm home and I'm eating dinner with my kids, that should be, all of my attention should be there. That's a big lesson for a lot of people. So work teaches you how to work with others. Work gives you a sense of purpose. It gives you a sense of meaning. And it also helps other people in the world. So work life has taught me a lot.
Yeah, it seems like it.
Yeah.
So what were some of your favorite memories?
Memories in terms of as a kid or as an adult?
As a kid and in your work life.
Yeah, so I would say in my work life, well, my first job was at McDonald's, and it was like one of these kind of things where it's the first experience of learning how to serve people. Like I got a chance to work in front of the counter, and I got a chance to work behind the counter. And so, that to me was important, was to get out there and work. And I was a teenager, so that was the first time I had some independence. I was making a paycheck, and I could spend a little bit of money. I could try to save some money. So that was a big memory for me, was like walking back and forth to work to McDonald's. That was a big memory for me. Other memories for work. I think one of the biggest memories was when I became Secretary of Labor for the state of Delaware, because it was a job that helped people to get jobs, but it wasn't like, oh, we're going to just give this job to Lisa. I really had to work for it. I had to talk to people. I had to tell them why I thought I would be a good candidate for the position. And I think that's another lesson, that if there's some place that you believe that you're supposed to be, work for it. Work toward it. Yeah, work to it. Yeah, I like that. Work to it. I never called it that, but I like that. Another memory, I think the other thing, at my age, you start to have a collection of some good memories and some sad memories. And so for me, a sad memory was when my husband passed away, and he was very young, and he was just a very kind, incredible person, and that was a sad memory for me. But it also helped to propel me into running for Congress, because I realized I still had purpose on this planet. And so I took all of the good memories and turned that bad into something positive. And so I think all of us go through times when there are like good things that happen. Sometimes it's a bad thing. You might fail a test and you're like stressed out about it.
Yeah.
That can motivate you and make you work even harder and come back even stronger, and then you'll have the joy of getting that A or that B. So I think for me, that's another lesson, that you take the good and the bad, but you're still grateful. And that's why I love being in Congress right now, because I'm grateful to be here. Yeah.
I remember when we were at the University of Delaware, and I remember some of your family was there. You seem to be close to them. So do you have any plans for the July 4th holiday?
What a great question. Okay, well, I am number one, very close to my family. I mean, they are the best. Like I love them so much. They've been so supportive throughout my life, and we have a lot of fun together. And so for 4th of July, I will start the day off with parades. So yes, I have to be, and I go from each county. I will do something in Kent County, Newcastle County, and Sussex, and I will be in different parades with all of our folks throwing out candy. And then at the end of the day, I will probably spend it with my mom and dad, watching the fireworks.
So if you could have 3 wishes, what would they be?
I would probably say one of my first wishes, one of the most important wishes for me, and one of the reasons I even ran for Congress, was that I wish there was world peace. I wish that people understood that we are all connected to each other. And when you do really well, I do really well. When you're sad, ultimately it has an impact on me too. So I wish that people knew and understood how connected we are to each other. Also, I wish that our planet was clean and green and loved by all of us. That's a really big wish for me, because just like I talk about us loving each other, we have to love the planet. Yeah. It's the only planet that we have right now, and we should be grateful for it, and we should be doing everything that we can to preserve it, because it provides all of the things that we need to live, but also it's beautiful. So my second wish would be that we would love the world. And then my third wish, I would probably wish that every person could just feel joy. Just feel, not just happy for a minute, but just feel a sense of joy and contentment and peace, and be able to live their purpose. Yeah. We're each here on this planet for a reason. You don't expect the hand to do what the eyeball does. You don't expect the head to do what the foot does. Each part of us has a purpose, just like each one of us has a purpose. And if we could live that, I think the other things would be created. We would see that peace.
Okay.
Yeah.
And my last question is, if you could invite one person to dinner, what would you cook and what would you talk about? And it can't be family or friends.
Right. And do you want to know who I would invite?
Yes.
Okay. So if I could invite one person to dinner, I would invite the Dalai Lama. Do you know who the Dalai Lama is? No. He's a very, very peaceful person who I think also wants that kind of world peace and joy that I talk about. And I would love that dinner because I don't even think we'd have to eat. I think we would just drink tea and smile at each other and just be at peace. It would be the Dalai Lama. Look him up. Check it out.
That sounds nice.
All right.
Well, those were all my questions. Thank you for letting me interview you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. This was fantastic.
Yes.
Thanks.